我去日本的咖啡了 I don't know. I cannot give too many details about what we did in Japan. You guys can just know that I met by the beat the members and I met staff. I went to this trip. This was my first time going to Japan, and it was in my mindset of this is a work trip. So I didn't have many things I wanted to do, but I did have a few list of places that I wanted to visit for coffee. And fortunately, I was able to go to a few of them. I went to a total of 4 specialty coffee stores. I remember the first time we went to a place in Shibuya called Chatei Hato. It was around 7 p.m. So it was kind of late. And I asked the guys, I know it's late, but do you guys want coffee? Because we didn't know where to go in Shibuya. And I'm like, okay, fine. If you guys don't know, then I'll take you to my place. And I took them to this really nice place called Chatei Hato. It was a very cozy, small, like, kind of like a pub. Very Victorian style in a way. Very traditional. And this place is popular because it roasts its beans with charcoal. This place is also known for its cheesecake, fluffy cheesecake. In this store, I ordered a Kilimanjaro roast bean. It comes from Tanzania. And it was pretty full-bodied. It was kind of like, it had notes of like caramel or brown sugar, if I remember correctly. It was more sweet than floral or bright, but it was very nice. I believe Calix didn't want to drink that late because caffeine does affect him. So he didn't get coffee, even though he does like coffee. And I think he got tea. You got tea, right, Calix? And then he got cheesecake as well. I believe Seal asked me to recommend him coffee because he's used to his microwave coffee. I just recommended him the original blend, the Hato original blend, for him to try. It was probably the safest choice. And then I think Sable, since he's not used to black coffee, he ordered either an iced cappuccino or a iced café chocolat. I don't remember. But he ordered an iced drink with milk. It was very nice. This was probably like the first time we spent alone without staff. And it was the first time I think I realized I can talk with these guys for so long. Because I think there was a line to enter the place when we were already seated. And we just spent talking for like 3 hours about music, about our plans, what we wanted to do. It was very nice. It was really when I realized, wow, time flies really fast with these guys. And I'm always very grateful that I'm in a group with people I'm so comfortable with. And I think we could have kept going. We only stopped because we realized there was a wait and we felt bad. We didn't want to keep people waiting. I'm an introvert, to be honest. I am usually the one that with social interactions, I get socially drained. It doesn't mean that I don't like being with people. I enjoy socializing as much as anyone else. I do get tired, I do get drained. However, with By the Beat, it's been so many times where we've been like just calling or talking for like 8 hours, 9 hours, and the social battery doesn't deplete. Once again, always grateful, very grateful. Someone asked me what's my favorite memory in Japan. I don't know, it's kind of hard to choose one, but I think this first coffee shop when I realized like, oh, I kind of like these guys was one of the first ones. And also because like, I mean, they let me take them to a coffee place, you know. Next, unfortunately, during the trip, the second day, the day after this, Calix got really sick. He had to stay in bed and he couldn't go out. I don't know if they've mentioned it yet. I thought it was really cute. I was sleeping, so I didn't do anything. But Sable and Seal got worried for him. And they both went to the 7-Eleven to get him a care package of like medicine, warm stuff to eat, snacks. But they didn't plan to do it together. They just both stumbled upon each other at the 7-Eleven because they both had the same plan to go buy something for Calix. And I thought that was like super cute. I kind of felt bad because like, damn, they were doing so much for him while I was just sleeping. So unfortunately, Calix got sick and he couldn't go out with us on a free day we had. Regardless, I did take the guys. I asked them if they wanted to go to another coffee shop. Apparently, they liked the experience of the first one. So we went to Jinbocho. That was my favorite place in Tokyo, by the way. I brought them to this place called Glitch Coffee. This is kind of like a very popular store. There were a lot of foreigners in it, actually, because I think in coffee communities, it's known to be like a very, like the top of the line when it comes to like specialty coffee. It was super nice. We had to do a line for it also. And this is what I mean. I really like this kind of cup. It was very pretty. The staff all completely spoke English and they would like carefully explain which kind of beans they could recommend you, the brewing process. It was very interesting. I couldn't see the brewing process for the Chatei Hato. I could see the brewing process for here. While they did pour over, of course, it seemed like they used a combination of immersion. The long one is more coffee that you can add after it starts getting cold. And then once you do it, the flavor should change depending on the temperature. Because coffee does not taste the same when it's recently brewed than when it's cooled down, right? It's kind of like a refill, but it's supposed to be more like a compliment. So I'm gonna explain the coffee I got. I got the Ethiopia Sidama Hamiru Chilaka. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce this. It's from Ethiopia, of course. Maybe I should explain the processing of coffee first, because honey anaerobic might be a little bit hard to explain without it. So I'm gonna briefly explain the types of coffee bean processing. There are 3 main types. There's the washed process, which is the main one, or not the main one, but the most commonly used commercially. It is basically just removing the outer skin and the pulp of the coffee cherry completely. It's washed and then fermented, I think. And it tends to be pretty clean, very bright, very easy to drink. That's why it's the most popular one. And I think it's the most commercial one as well. Then there's the natural process. The natural process has the coffee dried before the fruit is removed from the beans. It does not remove the pulp or anything, and it lets it ferment by itself, right? And that way, usually the natural coffee process beans have more of a fuller, fruitier flavor. And then, interestingly, there's the middle point, the honey process, which is like a hybrid of washed and natural. They leave some of the pulp in the beans from the coffee cherry while they dry. It can have like a bright combination, like a bright taste, but still it has more of a fruitier flavor than the natural wash. And now, this is the coffee I drank here, English coffee, was a variation called honey anaerobic. And what it do is that after they remove some of the cherry, leaving some pulp in it, they vacuum seal it either in a tank or in a container so that there's no oxygen in the coffee. That's what it means by anaerobic. And that can affect the flavor as well. How do you learn so much about coffee? I just like it, so I investigated. Would you recommend Glitch coffee? I would. I think this was my favorite store in terms of the coffee flavor. Can be kind of pricey, but I think it's worth it. So the specifications say that the tasting notes are orange tea, brown sugar, red grape, and it has a smooth and sweet finish. Since I often prefer sweeter notes than floral notes or fruity notes, I wanted to try this one. And it was very nice. It definitely was very smooth. And I think out of the 3 notes, I tasted brown sugar the most. It was very nice. But anyways, going back, this was the coffee I ordered. If I scooch a little bit here, you can see the COL. That was Seal's coffee. He ordered a Colombian. I don't remember the specifics behind his, but I remember it was pretty nice. And then if I get rid of my info, you can see the little logo, that's Sable. He ordered a latte with one of the beans. Since we got curious, we also tried each other's cups. And I'm pretty sure I like mine the most, but I remember Seal's tasting very nicely also. I mean, the latte was not bad, it was nice, but I'm not that into lattes, so it just tasted like a pretty good latte to me. I think this was an opportunity to know especially Sable better, because while we had talked a little bit more, we didn't have as much time to chat compared to like me with the other members. But it was very nice. I definitely got way more comfortable with Sable after this specific shop. It's called You Know So Much About Coffee. It's because I like it, you know? It's my hobby, I mean. I'm not a pro. I still have a lot of things to learn, and I don't even have proper equipment. But in the future, I would love to get like actual pro equipment so I can show you guys. Maybe take pictures of the cups I brew. Get really fancy cups. Right now, my setup is not fancy. I do not have a proper coffee weight. I do not have a proper coffee kettle, but I'm doing the best with what I can. Do you like Arabica? Yeah, of course. The most common type of beans. Where do you prefer your coffee beans from? I like Ethiopia a lot, but I also really like Costa Rica for coffee beans. I really want to try more Colombian. I have tried Colombian, but not enough. And I know Panama is very famous, especially for their geisha, so I would like to try that also. I love Ethiopian coffee. You have Teis, Uki. I know Uki's also very much into drip coffee, so it would be really nice to like share a cup with senpai sometimes, maybe compare or something. So like I mentioned, we all tasted each other's coffee. I think mine was sweeter and Seal's was more like fruitier. I really forgot the notes of his. I think Seal's already mentioned it on the stream. He got a little bit weird about it because they started going like, is this like an indirect kiss? Just sharing a drink. Be normal. We're just trying it out. We didn't drink from the same side of the cup. Wait, it wasn't Seal. It was Sable who mentioned it, right? I don't know. I think like at least in my culture, it's very common to just like share drinks or share food if you want to try something. Of course, from like a different side of the cup. So I never really thought too much about it. Like, just be normal. Be normal. I was explaining that I was not always a black coffee drinker. I used to drink it with milk and sugar. But then I really wanted to try like experiencing actual coffee. So I got rid of the sugar first and drank it with only milk. And then I also slowly started removing the milk. And now I just only drink it black. Once you try good filter coffee, you won't go back? Absolutely. it's not just about the type of beans, but it's also the type of brewing you do. A lot of like cheap coffee machines don't brew coffee well. They're just made for you to have fast coffee. So that's why a lot of people have like a bad image of black coffee. But once you know, it's kind of way easier to drink. Are there any good tutorials you recommend? I would recommend looking up a V60 tutorial. That's probably the easiest way to do your own pour over coffee. What's your thoughts about Seal Coffee reheating his black coffee? I went out of my way to take Seal to this really nice shop. And this is how he pays back. He liked it. He really liked it. Only to go back home, brew coffee in a huge pot, put it in the fridge, and then heat it back. So the day we went to Glitch Coffee to this store, it was a free day. And after going to this store, we separated. Sable and Zeal went to Akihabara, and I remained alone in Jinbocho because I wanted to go to more stores. So I went to the next store, which was Pharaoh's Coffee. I am covering the note, but it's okay. I cropped it in and I can add it here. This was a very interesting coffee, which I would very much recommend for beginners. I think it's using a different process of bean. It's still honey in the way that it's a hybrid between natural and wash. However, it's not using the anaerobic method, which is vacuum sealing it. This one uses the raisin honey method, which means they sun dry the coffee cherry until it's almost like a raisin. And then after it resembles a raisin, they remove the skin and they ferment it again. And this specific coffee, it's called a Kane Musician Mozart. What I found very interesting about this coffee was that it had a very strong strawberry taste. It had a very fragrant rose scent, but the taste was very much like strawberry. It was probably the sweetest black coffee I've ever had. I thought maybe a beginner would like this because it's not bitter at all. It was very easy to drink, and I don't like strawberry, but I got really curious because of the grapefruit flavor also. And while I do taste the grapefruit notes, strawberry was definitely the thing that stood out of the notes. It was very nice. And I don't know if the lighting kind of affects it. It's a different store in the end. However, this coffee was significantly darker than the one I had in Glitch Coffee. It was very nice. It really was very nice. But yeah, this was very dark, and this would not be a coffee that I would drink with like sweet bread because it's already kind of sweet. Out of 10, what you're grading of this coffee? I don't like grading coffees. It's very different. It was just a nice experience. For my personal taste, I like the Glitch coffee the most though. Did you try another coffee in this shop? I did not at the shop. However, I really like these beans, so I really wanted to try something else. So I bought another variation for me to brew at home, which was another bean from Costa Rica called Mirasu Rum Barrel Raisin Honey. This one's also a raisin honey process. However, it has very different tasting notes, and this is the one that's aged in a rum barrel for 3 months. It was very interesting. The tasting notes were like maraschino cherry, rum, grape gummy, and oak. And something that really stood out about this coffee, and I'm really glad I bought it when I brewed it at home, was that maybe it's because it's aged in the rum barrel and it has the cherry and grape notes. It almost tasted wine-like. It had a kind of like alcoholic note to it. Are you gonna get drunk when you drink it? No, it's just a slight taste. It's a slight note. It's coffee. It's coffee. It's not alcohol. I'm gonna write the coffee grinder I use. I want to buy the Comandante grinder one day. Does it have an aftertaste? I think the one I bought has a strong cherry aftertaste after the wine-like flavor. The one I had on the store, the one that has like the strawberry taste, it was mostly just strawberry. Did they have the beans from Panama? No, they didn't. This store mainly had Costa Rica beans actually. Which country has the best coffee beans for you? I have not tried enough for me to be able to say I have a favorite. But I tend to like Costa Rica beans. So since we had a busy schedule, I couldn't go to like another specialty coffee by myself after. However, sometime later, almost close to when we had to go back, Kalex was feeling better. So we were able to go to another store. And this time we went to Ikebukuro, all together as By the Beat. The place we went to was this place in Ikebukuro called Mermaid Coffee Roasters. It was very nice because look at that. When you entered the store, there were a lot of samples that you could try. There were little cups, as you can see in the left. There were a few cups. And you could see the bean grind, the prices, and the different types of coffee that you could try. It was very nice. There are a few blends, the explanations of where they were from. It was a very cute store. Did you buy any to take home? Not from this store. I only bought from Pharaoh's Coffee. Usually, if depending on when it's roasted, beans can kind of go bad. So I tried to not buy as much and just try different kinds of coffee when I was here. Unfortunately, they had this thing called a coffee cola, which convinced both Seal and Sable to try instead of any of these nice options. And I don't think they liked it very much. I don't know why they would pick coffee cola instead of all of these. Not even a latte. But Calix was the real one. And he asked me to pick for him because he was kind of overwhelmed by the options. It was not to my taste. Just order coffee. You can get cola in the States or anywhere else. Do you think blonde roast or dark roast is better? I tend to prefer lighter roasts. I think most people that are into pour over, they prefer light roast. Anyways, this was the coffee I ordered. I took a picture of the information, and it was a coffee from Colombia called from Huila Peñas Blancas farm. And this was my first geisha that I tried. It's from Huila, Colombia, and it's also a fermented semi-washed. Semi-washed is another way of calling the honey process, which I already explained earlier. And this was a light roast. You can see like the grind in the beans. And I also was able to see them brew the coffee. I think the clerk was kind of like maybe even creeped out, like, why is this foreigner staring at me so much? But I just wanted to know their technique. And they use this different like variation of the V60 where they also like do immersion. But they didn't do it like the Switch. It was kind of like the Switch, but it was weird. Because it's the kind of V60 cone that if you like push down, it goes into the coffee. I mean, it goes into the cup. I started asking them questions about the flavors in Japanese. And I think after they realized that I spoke Japanese, they got a little bit more comfortable starting explaining. Could you go a day without coffee? Yeah, I do that sometimes. I like it. It's my favorite drink, but I won't die if I don't drink it. And this was my attempt of having a less sweeter coffee that's like my comfort zone. And this was more of like a floral, bright coffee. And I usually try to avoid it because they're kind of like acid. The acidity, I'm not that into it. But this was pretty nice. It was very easy to drink. When did you discover this passion for coffee? I've drank coffee since very young. My grandma used to give it to me with milk. But I think once I started like... I guess my late teens, I started drinking more and more. And on my early adult years, I switched to black coffee. And anyways, going back to topic, Calix asked me if I could recommend him some. So I just bought him. I treated him myself to this variation. Also from Colombia, it's called Aroma Nativo. And this one's not a geisha, it's an aji. And it uses a hydro honey process. Hydro honey is probably the most complicated processing and the most modern one. It's a combination of like all the three processes where it's like it's dried completely naturally and fermented. Then it's rehydrated, it's washed, and then it's depulped, and then it's dried again. It's like the most time-consuming one. So I ordered this for Calix because he said he does like fruity kind of coffees more. And I saw that this one had like mango, mandarin, and honey notes and a long-lasting sweetness apparently. So I thought it would be a good fit for him. And we were both having Colombian, so. I did try it for a little bit. He was sick, so we didn't want to share a cup. So I tried it before he started drinking it. And it was definitely fruitier. I enjoyed it as much, not as much as mine. But it was pretty nice for people that really like fruity flavors. I think the mandarin stood out a little bit more than the mango, but it was nice. Hope you get a coffee sponsorship stream in the future. That would be cool. I hope so too. Let's manifest it. So yeah, these were the coffee cups we ordered. This was Calix's and this was mine. This was how the cup I drank looked like. The mermaid seemed kind of cold because she was not wearing any clothes, so I gave her a little sweater. Do you pair this coffee with their scones or cookies? Oh, have you gone here? Have you tried any of their pastries? I did not. I actually did not try any of these coffees with food because I wanted to try the coffees by themselves. If I'm tasting a fancy coffee for the first time, I try to avoid eating something with it. Basically, these were the 4 stores that I visited, and overall, if I had to pick just one, then I would go back to Glitch Coffee as my favorite. I really like the design of the cup, the flavor of the coffee, and the experience going there because it's full. The staff members are all super knowledgeable. They'll explain anything you need to know in English. For people that are not used to black coffee, once again, I recommend this variation of the racing honey processing, the musician Mozart from Pharaoh's in Jimbocho. There were a lot of stores that I couldn't go to. I thought the stream was about chatting with a cup of coffee. Now I'm learning about deep brewing coffee and I kind of like it. Since it's the first time, I think I could like show you guys a little bit more. But maybe in the future, or most likely in the future, the coffee stats are just gonna be us talking while I drink coffee. 我喜欢咖啡